welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all really well. Today I'm going to be doing a what I eat in a day because I haven't done one of these properly in a while, especially one where I'm actually at home rather than travelling. And do I have something on my lip? I know I have a bit of an odd diet because there's various things that I don't eat, and perhaps that makes it interesting. I don't know. Just as a disclaimer, I don't normally wake up with a full face of makeup, nor do I come and eat breakfast with a full face of makeup. But I have just shot some Instagram pictures this morning before I've done anything else because David is heading off to work and I needed to utilise his hands for a photograph. So that is why I look like this. Normally I'm not this put together in the morning. Normally I don't wear makeup, and normally I definitely don't wear earrings with pajamas. In case you're new to this channel, I will fill you in just a little bit on what I do and don't eat. So I am actually severely intolerant and partly allergic to some of these things, and they include dairy, eggs, gluten and soy. So that can be quite limiting, especially when eating out, but I do eat really well. I have a big appetite and I do like to get adventurous with my flavours and experiment with new things. So perhaps if you eat the same as me, or you're intolerant or allergic to any of those things, then this might give you some inspiration on what to have for breakfast, lunch and dinner. At the moment I'm trialling something new because I do suffer from something called IBS, which is a digestive condition, and at the moment I'm trialling something called the 16-to-8 fasting program, which basically means that you eat all of your food during an 8-hour window, and the rest of the 16 hours of the day you give your digestion a break and you don't eat any food. So it's basically an extension on the fasting that you do overnight anyway. I have found in the 2 weeks that I've been doing it that it's really helped my IBS and my bloating and my cramping, so I am sticking to that, but I just thought I'd let you know anyway. So first things first, let's make some breakfast. So for breakfast, I usually have the gluten-free Nutri-Brex, which I discovered recently. I used to have Weetabix, but obviously can't have gluten anymore, so I have the gluten-free Nutri-Brex, and they are delicious. They can be a bit dry if you have them on their own, but I have them with coconut yogurt, and I also have them with fruit. Today we had berries in the fridge, but sometimes I get adventurous. Sometimes we have pomegranate, sometimes we have mango. Today was strawberries. I also like to drizzle a bit of honey on top. Sometimes I have some almond butter. It totally depends on what I have in the fridge that day. And then I also like to have a peppermint tea in the morning as well. I really find this helps to soothe my digestive symptoms and just start the day off caffeine free.
When the lights are out and you stumble in the dark, you kept pushing on, but then you went too far. When your ship has sailed and all your dreams are lost, everything is wrong.
Now, apologies here if I have breakfast in my teeth, because as nice as that is, I do always find it remains in my teeth unless I rigorously brush it out. But while I'm on the subject of food, lots of you ask me on Instagram quite a lot how I discovered that I'm intolerant to a variety of things and how I know what to eat. And so I wanted to chat to you quickly about something that I discovered recently that really helps me to become even more so in tune with my body than I already am, because I think that one thing that IBS has taught me is that you have to really listen to your body, understand what it needs and what it doesn't need. And so I'm always on the lookout for things that can help me do that even more so. One company I discovered recently is called Atlas Biomed, and they offer at-home microbiome and DNA testing. So you don't have to go to a scary medical centre or anywhere. You can do the tests at home, send them off, and then you get your results. And you get them sent to your computer and you can scroll through them at your own pace. You can see what genetic conditions that you might be predisposed to, and it also makes really helpful suggestions on what foods you can incorporate into your diet that will hopefully mean that you prevent those things from happening before they already happen. The microbiome test is a really good indicator of your overall health, so it gives you a microbiome level. It tells you whether you have a healthy gut or not, and it might also inspire you to start taking probiotics, which is something that it did for me. That's something that I've found has helped immensely in controlling my IBS symptoms, things like bloating, diarrhea and constipation. Sorry if that's TMI, but as I said, it really helps to be in tune with your body, and these 2 tests was something that I did about 6 weeks ago, and I've been incorporating the results of that into my everyday lifestyle. And it feeds information directly into your Atlas Biomed profile, which you can access online. It analyzes the DNA of your gut bacteria, and then it also provides you with some nutrition suggestions, so it's really helpful. Both tests are all about a preventative approach rather than a reactive, so it's not about when you're going to get ill and when you get sick that's when you do something about it. It's looking at what you're predisposed to and what's going on inside your body now so that you can help it for the future. I've been on a bit of a health journey over the last 3 years. 3 years ago I was not interested in what was going on internally in my body, and I would eat whatever I wanted. I now have a much healthier approach, I'd say. Not even healthier in terms of the choices, but just mind and body. I have a much healthier approach to food, and I also know, as I said, how it's going to react to my body, and I really listen to it. So I could waffle on and tell you all about the tests and what they found, or I could actually show you, because I think that would be really interesting, and I want to show you the dashboard, show you how cool and interactive it is, and also if you're considering getting something like this done, then it will be helpful for when you get your results too. So this is my dashboard as you log in. I've had both of the tests done, so that's the microbiome and the DNA, so I've got all the information that you can possibly see here. My microbiome rating, as you can see here, is 6 out of 10, so if you click on it, it'll tell you a little bit more about that. I found this page really interesting because it showed me that I needed to up my dietary fibre, which is why I'm obviously having a bit more fibre in the mornings in my NutriBix. It then gives you some more information here on what your microbiome rating means. I also found this page really interesting because it gives you recommended food based on the results of my DNA and microbiome tests. So these are this week's recommendations, which are aimed at improving my dietary fibre. So we've got chickpeas there, so perhaps I'll have some hummus for lunch. We've also got some bran, which again was in my breakfast. Got some garlic, whole wheat grain, potatoes. So this page was really interesting because it showed me which vitamins and minerals I am lacking at the moment. Vitamin B6 was really interesting because often that contributes to healthy hair and nails, and I've definitely noticed in the last year that my hair has been very thin, so perhaps that might be the reason for it. The health page is really interesting because you can see your disease risks. So your disease risk is calculated using your test results, and as you can see here, I'm at a high risk of Crohn's disease, which doesn't surprise me because I've been tested for Crohn's disease about 10 times in my life so far. The symptoms that I have already or have had in the past are very common in those who have Crohn's disease. So it was really interesting that this came up, and it's also made me really hyper in tune with any new symptoms that I get, because if I get any, then obviously I'll go straight to the doctors. Now, you shouldn't worry if you get any of these in your results, because it doesn't mean that you're going to get it or that you have it. It just means that you might be genetically predisposed to these conditions. So it's worth following some guidelines on what you can eat and what you can do to prevent the disease before it might ever develop. So for example, it gives you specific recommendations on foods to add to your diet to protect against things like Crohn's disease. Lots of these I've incorporated more into my diet recently, and it's been really interesting to experiment with some new flavours. There's lots of really interesting tabs down here, such as nutrition, so nutrition recommendations, sports, so what different types of exercise you can do to your genetic makeup and to make sure that you're getting the most out of the activity that you're doing. It's also ancestry, and then this one is personal traits, which I'm going to show you because it was really interesting. So in the personal traits section, it tells you about things like your appearance, so your iris structure, and it says people with your genotype tend to have a moderate pigment ring around the pupil. Now, if you see pictures of me, they're probably not going to have a close-up of the eye, but I do have quite a dark pigment around the pupil, which is quite unusual. It also tells you about grey hair, so if you're predisposed to early greying. Luckily, I don't seem to be. And then it also says if you smell, basically, which I think it's telling me that I do. Obviously with any new symptoms or any issues, I would go to my GP and see my doctor anyway. But again, as I said earlier, it's just a really, really great way to become even more in tune with your body, and also to help discover what your body might need more of and what you're doing great already. If you are interested in doing a test for yourself, I'll link all the information in the description box below, but I just thought I'd tell you about that while I'm on the subject of food and lifestyle and everything in between. So it's now lunchtime and I'm actually out of my pajamas, which is good, always a plus. I have been getting on with some work this morning, catching up on emails and editing some videos, so it's been a very busy day, and it's now about 2 p.m. and I have forgotten to eat lunch when I normally eat, which is about 11. I never normally forget to eat. I love my meals and I'm a big appetite. I was gonna say I'm a big appetite. I have a big appetite. But I'm not actually too hungry today. Some days I have those days and I've got no idea why. So I'm actually just gonna have some hummus and some corn chips. These are gluten-free corn chips, but I think most corn chips are gluten-free anyway, because they're obviously made with corn flour or maize flour. So that's what I'm gonna have. And I'm also gonna add some chicken breast onto the top of the tortilla chip before I dip it into the hummus. That might seem really weird to some people, but to me it's a really nice little easy lunch. So that's what I'm gonna have now. Now, as you might remember, hopefully I haven't got food in my mouth or around my mouth. As you may remember, the Atlas Biomed dashboard did recommend that I up my fibre intake, and it recommended hummus. Well, it didn't recommend hummus, it recommended chickpeas. So I'm definitely ticking one of those boxes. So another thing that the Atlas Biomed test picked up was to up my protein intake and to make sure that I'm getting enough protein in my diet. So I do find that sometimes I have to go for a protein shake, not as a meal replacement by any means, but just to make sure that I'm getting the right amount of protein and to bolster my protein intake throughout the day. I do try and have as much protein as possible, but sometimes it's just hard to weave it into every meal, so you need a bit of a helping hand. So the proteins that I use, I will show you. So I did find it difficult to find protein powders that are soy-free, gluten-free and dairy-free and egg-free. Not that many of them have eggs in, but they do have whey powder. So I thought I'd just show you the ones that I use regularly. I use the Herbalife vanilla flavour. This one is soy-free, this one isn't. This is the one that David uses. But this one is soy, gluten and dairy-free protein powder, and then that's vanilla flavor. And then this one I have been using and trying out, and this is chocolate flavor. So I'm actually just going to have one of these now, because I know that if I don't have enough protein today, I will suffer for it tomorrow, and tomorrow I will just be a hangry mess. So I'm going to have one of these, and I'm actually going to mix it with this almond milk. I've been trying this one recently and really like it because it's unsweetened, but it has a hint of vanilla, which just makes it taste that little bit extra delicious.
In the dark, you kept pushing on, but then you went too far. When your ship has sailed.
So it's now dinner time, and I've decided to make a Thai red curry tonight. I'm going to make it with, I've got some leftover like char grilled chicken. I'm going to do it with artichokes, lentils and no soy sauce, because obviously I can't have soy. So it'll be a really nice warming dinner. And I do like to eat my dinner before 6 or 7 p.m. if I can try to. Sorry if you can hear the kettle boiling in the background, just because I don't really like to go to bed with a really bloated full stomach. But this is something that I will make in a big batch, and then I can use it for lunches for the rest of the week, which is good. This is actually a super quick meal to make, so you can obviously make it from scratch if you want to. But this Blue Dragon Thai Red Curry 3-step kit doesn't include any soy sauce in it. And it also is vegan, obviously, as long as you don't add chicken or any meat in, and it only takes 15 minutes. It's really quick. The coconut milk comes in a sachet as well, which is just the right amount, and you can dial up the heat if you want to. So I'm just boiling some artichoke and some red lentils in here, and then I'm going to pour the paste in here with some vegetables. So I've now just added the artichoke and the lentil to the Thai red curry paste, and the chicken and the sweet corn and the peas. and I'm just going to stir it in and let it simmer gently. I've also added in some spinach for some extra greenery, so I sort of let it steam on the top, and then when it gets a bit kind of wilted, I'm not sure if that's the correct word, but when it gets a bit more soft, I will mix it into the main curry. We've also got some plain basmati rice on the go as well, or it might be Thai jasmine, actually, I can't remember. We usually keep all of our rice in these jars, so I can never remember which one we actually have.
Are out and you stumble in the dark. You kept pushing on, but then you went too far.
So I'm now gonna go and eat my dinner. I hope you really enjoyed this video and enjoyed seeing what I've eaten today, and also finding out a little bit more. What is this hair doing? It's snaking over the shoulder. And finding out a little bit more about me as well and what I eat.